It's the day of your driving test, and nerves will play a part. So you woke up on the day of your driving test, and first things on your mind is not breakfast, but the time of the driving test. I've got my license ready. Is it still at the side of the table where I put it last night? All these things are running through your mind. Your head's spinning with the amount of things that could go wrong on the driving test, and it causes stress. It causes you to get nervous. So you've got to start putting things in the right place. So just say to yourself, right, here's my license. It's there. It's not going anywhere. Let's go get me breakfast. Let me get myself ready. Let me get myself ready. Let me get myself ready so that I'm not late for the driving lesson, or I'm not late for turning up with my parents for the driving test itself. And plan it. Don't kind of start thinking to yourself, I can't do this, I can't do it, I'm feeling all nervous, I can't eat my breakfast because the stress of the test and whether I'm going to pass or fail is going to affect me. So say to yourself, okay, I need to have breakfast, I need to eat. If I don't eat, I'm going to get tired. If I get tired, I'm going to drive badly or drive under par. So you need to eat, even if you've got the belly rumbles or the butterflies, depends on what you want to call it. I call it nerves. So eat. Have your normal routine that you get up in the morning. So if you get up in the morning and you go for a walk, then get up in the morning and go for a walk. If you get up in the morning and you go and get yourself ready and then have breakfast, then do that. If you're going to get up in the morning and have your breakfast before you get ready, then do that. Stick to the normal routine that you normally have, because if you don't, it'll feel unusual. You want to try and make things feel like normal. That's what you got to say to yourself, and that's what you want to do. And you're out. And just, if you can get a test early in the morning, that's even better, because then it's going to make it easier for you to get on with getting that lesson and getting your driving test. But if you can't and you've got a test in the afternoon, then find things to do in the morning, whether it be going to college, work, or doing things around the house, or going for a walk, or going out with your friends for an hour. Then do that, but keep an eye on the time. And then when it comes to the point where you're thinking, right, in the next half an hour I'm going to be meeting up with my instructor for a lesson. I'm going to have an hour before the driving test. So make sure you go to the toilet, make sure you bring along some kind of drink, a bottle of water or something, just so that you don't get dry throat. And if you're not eating much and it's that time where it's towards lunchtime, then bring a banana along or something that you can snack on, or even bring a sandwich box so you can take 10 minutes out and have a quick sandwich. So it keeps you kind of energized, because you'll be surprised, the nerves and the stress of the driving test will burn up loads of energy, and you'll start to feel tired. So the hour before your driving test, it is normal for a student to do a mistake of some sorts, and it'll be a silly mistake like stalling or pulling off in the wrong gear, or sometimes, and this does happen, so if it happens to you, don't worry, they're coming to a roundabout and they try and go for that risky one, and the instructor puts the foot on the brake and says, what are you doing that for, you're not going to make it. And all of a sudden you're thinking, I can't drive. Yes, you can. It's the nerves making you do silly things. So you've got to say to yourself, I need to drive sensibly, I need to drive within the speed limit, but not like a granny, but not breaking the speed limit. I've got to be reasonable speeds, do what I know I can do. That's what you've got to keep saying to yourself. So you have your lesson, and you might want to say, I want to do all the manoeuvres. If you've got the time, fine, one of each. Don't try and get it perfect. Practice shunting, correcting the manoeuvres. That's a good one to practice on the hour before your driving test. And I do say to lots of people, if you've got a test centre that's got quite a few tricky roads around it, then spend that time driving around an hour before the test, near the test centre. So if there's any road works that are up that day, then you know about it. It's not a surprise to you. Or if it's a tricky road, there's loads of parked cars, and you go down that road, get used to that road again, so you don't forget these things, and you're aware of it. And obviously, when you go in there with your instructor, make sure you bring along your driving licence. At the moment, they're not asking for your driving theory test certificate, but if you want to bring that along, you can bring that along too. And if you wear glasses, make sure you bring them along, because they're going to ask you for an eyesight test at the beginning, aren't they? So you've done your bit of a drive round with your instructor, and you're doing your show me questions, show me tell me questions. If you're not sure what they are, I'll put a link at the top and in the description of the questions for you so you can actually watch them. And what you've got to say to yourself is, it's 10-15 minutes before your driving test. Say your driving test is at 10 o'clock or 1 o'clock, whatever. You want to be outside that driving test centre or close by within a minute or two, about 10-15 minutes before it starts, so that you can just go through the questions, show me questions. You can ask questions to your instructor. You can think about what's going to happen, how you're going to cope with the stress, how you're going to drive on that test. And if you're dying for the loo at that point, when you get into the test centre, go to the loo. If they haven't got a loo at the test centre, and that's what you've got to ask the instructor, if there's no loo there, then go to a loo prior to finishing your driving lesson, so that you're ready for that driving test. And wear suitable clothes for the driving test. If it's warm like it is today, t-shirt, shorts. You know, if it's winter time, then you want to be wearing a long sleeve top and maybe trousers or something that's going to keep you warm, jogging bottoms, something that's comfortable that you're happy with. Try and wear stuff that you feel comfortable with, that are suitable for the driving test that you normally have on driving lessons, and then you'll be fine. You'll feel more at home. And remember, the examiner, they're only human, they're nice to you, so don't worry about them. Get in that test centre 5 minutes before, reverse into a parking bay if they've got parking bays, and you might drive in there and find there's about three or four people in front of you all parking up. Don't worry about it. If you feel like you're running behind, just get your instructor to park the car for you and then walk in. If you feel like you're struggling to park up because the nerves are getting to you too much, then get your instructor to park up for you. There's nothing wrong with that, because the examiner's not going to assess you driving in. They're going to assess you when you're on the driving test. Okay? Now, when you're in the test centre waiting room, it does feel a bit eerie, quiet. You can look round and people are tapping their feet and they're kind of fidgeting. You just got to focus on you and remember that this is your first test and you want to make sure you pass, because you've waited for it, you've done it, your instructor says you're good enough, you've been driving quite well, but you know the nerves are there. So remember, if you feel like you're getting a bit nervous, take some slow deep breaths and try and bring that heartbeat down a bit and just keep breathing in. Get that oxygen around your body, make you feel better. And remember that when they call out and the examiner comes out, say at 10 o'clock, and you're waiting, they call your name out, they'll smile at you, you smile back at them, pass them your driving licence. They'll ask you to sign a piece of paper. If you've got a face covering on, they'll ask you to pull the face covering off. So just be aware of these things that are going to happen. And they'll even say to you, would you like your instructor to sit in the back of the test with you, or would you like him to wait for you till they come to the end? So it's your choice. Obviously speak to your instructor beforehand what you want to be doing. And they'll also say to you, would you like your instructor to listen to the debrief at the end? Some say yes, some say no. It's your choice, and you can change your mind as well. So if you feel like it's gone terribly bad and you don't want your instructor to sit in the back and listen to it, then just say to the examiner, I don't want him listening, or that person listening. But I would advise you to let them listen, because then if it has gone not as good as you want, then the instructor's listening to what the examiner's told them, and they're going to work on a plan for getting you ready for the next test. But let's think positive. Don't think what if it goes wrong. Think, what can I do to drive good in that test? Well, I'm expecting that license to be checked, which it has. I'm expecting an eyesight test when I'm outside at the test centre with the examiner, which I've been practicing. That's what you've got to say. I'm expecting a show me tell me question at the beginning of the driving test. So if you're not sure what they are, like I said, there's going to be a description below, a link to it. And I'm expecting what to expect on the driving test route, because I've seen some videos. I'm going to put a video over top of a mock driving test, and in the description below there's going to be a couple of videos for you to watch also of students who've took tests on a full route to give you an idea of what sort of things are going to happen. So if you know what sort of things will happen on your driving test, then you're going to be ready for it. You're going to be expecting them to ask you to drive off when you're ready. And don't be surprised if that examiner start staring at your eyes and start staring at your feet. They're there to assess you, so don't be put off by that. They expect it, and it's costing you £62 in the UK for a driving test. So it's a lot of money. So you want to make sure that they get their money's worth, don't they? So if they're watching you, great. But once you realise how good a driver you are, then they're going to stop watching you, because they're going to be happy with you checking your mirrors and signalling and what your feet are up to. They're going to watch anything ahead of you that could be dangerous, that they're seeing if you're going to react to that. So you started, you got in the car, you started the car. The first few minutes is quite critical. I say to everyone, the first 5 minutes is a point where you're going to make a silly mistake if you're not careful. So ease into it. Don't be such a rush to get to that first junction. Remember, when you're pulling off, get yourself ready. Have a good look round, checking that right shoulder blind spot. They're going to ask you to pull over on the driving test about 5 times. Make sure you're checking the mirrors and signalling. Do all the basic stuff that you know you can do, and you'll feel better about it. And when you drive around, the nerves are going to disappear. All right? When you come to do a manoeuvre, you know you can do the manoeuvre. So when they ask you, they pull you up side the road, right, we're going to do a parallel park now when you're ready. One like you've been practicing with your instructor, get yourself next to that car, parallel, reverse park within 2 cannons, and so on, they'll say to you. So you know that. But when they say it to you, you're going to feel a bit nervous. But just deep down, remind yourself, you can do it. And remind yourself also, that test is 40 minutes, so don't even worry about the time. The examiner's going to keep an eye on the time. They're going to direct you back to test centre at the end. And the last 5 minutes of your driving test is also quite critical, and I'll put a link in the description and at the top also, and below, of video to do with information on the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes of your driving test, and how to control them nerves more. So the last 5 minutes is quite critical, and the amount of times I sat in the back of the car where the people are speeding up, trying to get the test over with. Keep things under control, don't speed, keep an eye on your speed, keep breathing. If you to the point where you're getting really bad nerves and you can't control things and palpitations on your driving test, because it does happen, it just happens to people, just say to the examiner, do you mind if I pull over for a minute, please, somewhere safe? Obviously, if you're on a fast road carriageway, that's going to be difficult, but if you're in a side road, it's going to be a little bit easier. They'll say, yeah, pull over on the left where it's convenient and safe, check your mirrors, signal, pull over, just explain to them that you're just getting a bit of palpitations, that you need a minute to recover. And then they'll say, off you go when you're ready. Look round and move off. So you could try that one if it helps. But most people will kind of drive through it, and when they're driving, the nerves will disappear. When you get back to test centre, remember, quite important, to secure the car when you're in the car park and you're finished. Handbrake, neutral, engine off before you're finished. And the examiner's going to tell you the results. And remember, if you don't pass, there's always rebooking it and take it again. Okay? I hope this video is helping you. If it has, fantastic. Safe driving, everybody, and good luck on that driving test.